Hi, Jonathan from Live Life Coach. Are you or someone you know feeling stuck, searching for direction, or wanting a clearer sense of what's next? You're welcome to connect with me. Whether you're exploring practical next steps or seeking God's leading, I'm always open to a genuine, no pressure conversation. Welcome back. If you notice how we live in an instant world, I'm sure you have. We've got this idea that everything needs to be now. It needs to be right this second. We've got to have it now. You could say that McDonald's created this thing with the combos, making it easy, fast, simple. You walk in, you say, I'd like to have a Big Mac combo. Everything comes. It's done in a few minutes. You're there, you're eating, you're in and out. If you're pretty quick, you can be in and out of McDonald's in 15 minutes if you really want. But is that really the world that we want to live in? We live in an age where now AI is taking over, and you want to know something? Ask AI, ask ChatGPT, and it will just tell you an answer in an instant. You can get instant answers. You need something, it'll write you pages of something. Within minutes, you could write a book. You give it a bit of an idea and say, hey, I want a book about this, blah, 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 blah. You can have a book written out by ChatGPT in minutes, and it'll be reasonably good. Probably be lacking a bit of emotion and real story to it, but hey, it can do it. We live in an instant world. But, I think so many people are missing the point or missing out on so much when they are living in that period. People are living in this space where everything's on the go. Takeaways, pretty quick. You can get in a car and you can be across town in a matter of minutes. You can order something on your phone and you don't have to go into a shop to get what you want. We live in a world of convenience. You take Facebook, for example. You get on there, and I'm guilty of it. You can get on there and you can scroll through and you've just got information galore. You can find all these different articles, everything at your fingertips. You go back a bit and you can get a whole fresh another amount of information, another lot of posts. And I think they've said that something like YouTube, if you tried to sit down and watch all of YouTube, it would take you hundreds of years, if not longer, to actually sit there. There's enough content to just go 24/7 for hundreds of years on YouTube. It's how much we're consuming in a fast rate. I've got a website where I've got an AI agent on there, and it's kind of handy. I don't know if I really like it, but it's there. It's a chat bot that people can come along and they can ask some questions, whatnot, and it's looking for instant answers. It's always going, what's your phone number? What's your email? Before it even gets any sort of context. And I think a lot of people are just put off by that. But when it does actually finally get some information, if people put it in, then it's sent to me, and the guy who looks after it for me is quite often he's going, you just got a message from the chatbot, you better get in there and get to them quick because otherwise they're going to go away. Now personally, I'm not worried about that. Yes, definitely going to go back to them, but do I need to go back to them 2 minutes after I receive that message that they've left a message there? Well, I don't think so. People don't need that quicker response. Yes, we need to be responding in a timely manner. Yes, we need to be providing them with the information that they would like and working through it. But not everything has to be right now, this instant, got to be there. And I think we're being brought up in this world where everything's instantly in front of us, and that we've got to have instant answers and instant things. And something I've learned over the years is that life's a journey. We're always walking each day, taking our steps. Every day is different. Everything works in a certain manner, but nothing happens in a hurry. When things happen in a hurry, actually you kind of don't enjoy it, because if everything came at once and was just bang, 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 you can imagine, well, how are you actually going to enjoy it? All this stuff just flying at you. You tend to lose the point. You lose that connection with people. You imagine if you went and met with some friends and you're there for 5 seconds, because we're in an instant world. We sit down, hello, how are you? Gone again. Nobody wants that. We want connection. We want to be able to talk. We want to be able to relate. We want to move and grow together and really do things together. And you've been hearing these stories of, teenagers and young adults who are getting away from the phones. They're putting them down. They're moving on because they want connection with people. People are the lifeblood of this world. We want that connection. I believe God made us to be connected together, to be growing, to be in a family, to be in community. And I think that, that's the thing. We're kind of losing that in this instant world. We want things to be quick. We're taught that things should be quick. If something's not, there right then and then, then people are upset. You order something online, you expect it the next day. If it turns up the day after, well, then we'll give them a 1-star review because postage was terrible. Now, admittedly, postage is pretty terrible at the moment, but, is it really relevant? If you left it so late that you needed that thing that day or that next day, isn't that kind of on you? I'm guilty of that. I order some things going, oh, whoops, dang, I need that tomorrow. Let's hope it comes overnight. But now, generally I'm pretty organised. I make sure I order things ahead, get them all ready, all going properly, so that I've got those items in stock, ready to go when I need to do things. And we've got to, I think, take that time to slow down, to really be able to connect and to, re-look at things, not to try and push things through. With coaching, it's a big thing to, really try and see a win in that first session and get things, going, and really be able to say, hey, we made a change today and we're going to move forward. But coaching and life is a journey. You can't just expect instant answers. Things are going to take time. I spent 2 years of searching and working out and figuring things out, talking with people, going through different tests and doing different things. And I'm still on that journey working through, and that's where coaching and talking and really working through those things has been helpful. But I understand it is a journey. It's not an instant win. There's nothing quick about what I've been through. I couldn't just go snap and I turn into this person that I'm now becoming. No, I needed to walk through the path, to take those steps, to move into the areas that that are there for me, to be able to move forward, to be able to learn, to be able to understand. I'm not a computer. I can't just consume thousands of pieces of information and spit it out of something that makes sense. I like to take things and work with them simply. Somebody said to me one day that I'm a person who makes the complicated simple. And I think, I agree with that. I like to make things that seem complicated and make it simple. And in my technology business that I've been involved in, I'd always say to people would be, throwing all this stuff at me as if it's a big complicated thing. And I'd be like, yep, that's cool, that's fine, no problems, I can make that happen. Because I don't see things as complicated. They're generally, in the scheme of things, a lot of things are often all interrelated. When you pull a cable for a camera, it's no different to pulling it for a data system, or pulling it for a TV system, or pulling it for some other system around a home or around a business. The same principles apply. There might be a different connector on the end, there might be a different piece of equipment on the end, but the principles are all the same. When you go through menus and settings, most menus and settings are all very similar. So you can bring the complicated right down to simple things. You look at it from a simple viewpoint rather than blowing it up and making it a massive thing. You look at it and you make it into something that's simple. Break it down. Make it, steps that you can follow. How is this going to work? What are we looking for? What's the end result? I like to look at the end result. What am I hoping to achieve here? And then I can bring it back and I can go, okay, to do that, get that end result, I need to do this and this and this along the way. And that just helps you process and understand things. There's that saying, start with the end in mind. And it can be that way. Sometimes some people just get started and they go and they don't know where they're going. It'd be like jumping in the car and putting on your Google Maps and just going, oh, well, I'm going to drive, I'm going to follow that blue dot on the map. Well, the blue dot doesn't know where it's going because you haven't told it where it's going. It's you actually just driving along the road. So you go, oh, here's a road, I'll turn down here. Oh yeah, the blue dot's showing me, going where I'm going, that's good. But is that actually showing you where you're going? You've got no destination. What is the destination? When you get Google Maps, you put your destination in there, you hit start, away you go. It says, go down this road, turn left, turn right, straight ahead, keep going. Sometimes that journey from Google Maps is off the planet, you're going all sorts of places. That's where you've got to use your common sense and go, well, actually, that way is not a good way to go. Don't be one of these people that gets in and follows the maps, and next thing they know, they're driving through a river and floating down the river when they're not actually a boat. They're in a camper van or they're in a car and they're wondering, well, Google Maps said to go that way. Or it said to take this four-wheel drive track and I'm in a lowered sports car. They don't think and they don't process what's going on. They just follow the rules, follow that plan that's been put in front of them, instead of thinking about it, going, actually, is that the destination that I want to get to? And I think, sometimes we lose track of that because this instant world is going, well, you've got to have an answer now. You've got to be going, just start moving, get into it. But sometimes you need to slow down and go, okay, what is my destination? Do I need this right now? Do I need to be actually going, hard out, but I don't actually know where I'm going? Or should I take a step back? Should I slow down, take a deep breath and go, okay, what is my plan? Where am I going? Am I clear about this? Do I have a direction? Do I have a purpose? What am I working through? And really, make that change in your life. Really think about it. Where are you going? What are you doing? Because you can run ahead, you can get those instant answers, you can take the first thing that comes along, but is that the right thing? This instant world has taught us that things need to be now, they need to be quick, they need to be moving at pace. And personally, I like a slower pace of life. I like to slow down. I like to drive fast, within limits, within the speed limits, but if I can, I will get on a track and I will go for it. I actually love to push the limits of a car, see where I can get it to before it will spin out. And track's a great place for that. And that's where you can go, let's go hard. There are times where you can do that. You can get into things and just go, let's push this real hard and see where we end up, see what the limit is, where things are going to break, where we're going to skid out. But other times in general life, sometimes you just need to slow down and go, okay, we're on a journey. What's our destination? We're off to the beach. Let's go to the beach. How are we going to get there? We're going to take the scenic route. We're going to take the highway. What are we going to do? In terms of how we're going to go there. So sometimes the instant factor isn't enough. Isn't the right way to go. Those instant answers aren't always there. And working through things, there's a lot that we can work through, there's a lot we can understand, but as we work through those things, as we grow, as we change, then we can really see those differences come through. And as we learn through that change, we can really just become more than what we could ever expect. And that doesn't happen in an instant. It doesn't happen in a blink of an eye. It's something that takes time. So if you're thinking about this, just things going on in your life and you don't know your direction, you don't know your purpose, you're just really unclear about what's happening and you're just jumping from one thing to another thing to another thing, maybe it's time to take some time to just really slow down, sit back, relax and think about where you want to go. Maybe you need to talk to somebody like myself. Where is life going? What is what am I doing? What am I thinking about? What is my purpose? Because when we understand those things, then we can be even better, and then we can gain the speed. When you're driving a car, it's all perfectly well to go fast, but you've still got to be able to stop. You've got to be able to slow. You've got to turn down. And sometimes speed is not the best way to go. You get on out on a four-wheel drive, speed's not always the way. Sometimes you need to be slow and steady and just crawl your way across those stones. Get on a racetrack, speed is where you want to be going, but it's controlled speed. It's not just instant speed. You need to be thinking about it and working through it. You need to be looking where you're going, know your destination, know your things around you, and just really work through those things. So, hey, if you're finding things are just moving too fast for you, you need to slow down a bit, figure things out, then hey, coaching might be an option for you. And I really, I'm happy to have a chat, go over things with you, and just see if we can help you figure those things out, if coaching is going to be suitable for you, or if there's just a direction that you may need to be looking in, and just be able to head down that path. But when we get that clarity, direction and purpose in our lives, we can really see a change, and we can really start to make headway of things. So it's just a little challenge. Take that time, slow down, maybe not go for everything instant. Instant noodles are all right, but let's be honest, not everything in life is instant, and sometimes we need to take that journey to walk the path that's been put before us, and sometimes that is a slow journey, sometimes it's a fast journey, but every journey has a destination. What is yours? Hope you enjoyed that, and look forward to catching up with you next time. Bye.